Have you ever had a dream where you're back in a horrible place from your past? It could be high school and a class that you hated, or an abusive relationship, or even a job that sapped the life out of you. That's what it felt like to watch Agatha All Along. It was like a PTSD flashback to The Acolyte that left me going, oh God, how am I back here again? Hello, I'm Marvin, and I'm the Movie Monster. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Following the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, a serviceable plot with no woke elements that featured known heroes in comic-accurate costumes with a killer soundtrack and stellar action, a lot of people claimed that Marvel was back. They believed we were returning to the glory days of pre-Endgame Marvel, before the dark times, before the msheu. Now, msheu is a term that was coined by Gary from Nerdrotic. It perfectly sums up Marvel's attempt to transition from one of the biggest boy brands on the planet that girls also enjoyed to a girls brand that absolutely nobody enjoys. And so we got insufferable smirking girl boss after insufferable smirking girl boss, and any men of note had to be either POC or LGBT, and those who weren't had to be made to look completely inept, weak, or just downright evil. That's how we got the Marvels, the Eternals, She-Hulk, Captain Falcon America, Ironheart, Shuri as Black Panther, Echo, Secret Invasion, America Chavez, Shang-Chi, and more. The belief and the hope was that Deadpool had shown the world that Marvel could be good again, that there was life after the MCU. The only movies to succeed on a grand scale since Endgame have been Spider-Man No Way Home, a movie produced by Sony, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, made by a guy currently leaving to head up DC Films, and Deadpool and Wolverine, a Fox property. But still, with the announcement of Robert Downey Jr. and the Russos returning for the next Avengers film, I think everyone was feeling optimistic again. But then Agatha came along, and we learned
it's too late to fix anything now that everything has gone wrong.
Yes, the 2-episode premiere of Agatha All Along was a horrid slog that failed as compelling television, a decent superhero show, and a Halloween series. It's a show about singing lesbian witches and morally gray characters justifying their moral grayness constantly in a ham-fisted, predictable mess that pushes girl power and LGBT themes. Yes, I'm saying it was the Acolyte all along. Agatha All Along Episode 1 opens with our titular character still believing that she's a resident of Westview, New Jersey. Apparently now she's a detective instead of a nosy neighbor, but she pulls up and starts talking to one of the other detectives who was one of the people cursed by Wanda in WandaVision. We then get a whole mess of some of the clumsiest, hackiest delivered exposition I've ever heard.
Here I was, sitting on my duff, playing Candy Crush, enjoying the fruits of my undeserved disciplinary action.
You punched the suspect.
My only hope is that maybe this was intentionally written poorly as a spoof on the detective show genre. I don't know, but it's just plain bad. And just in case we're not sure whether or not we're in Jersey,
Fountain down here by the water.
so we're gonna make a whole fuss over this Jane Doe who was crushed and left in the middle of the woods in Westview. But literally everyone in the audience knows who this is, and that begins the single biggest issue I have with these 2 episodes. The audience constantly knows more than the characters in this show. There's no tension or mystery involved in anything, because we already know everything that they're gonna reveal. We know that she's Agatha Harkness. We know this detective reality is bogus. We know that the body is Wanda. We literally know all of this, and they draw it out ad nauseum. Agnes inspects the body, and we get our first gratuitous foot shot of the series.
The first of many.
Then while looking around, she finds a locket that I honestly can't remember if she did or didn't have in WandaVision. We also get an opening credits sequence a la WandaVision. I really don't like how this show is just leaning so heavily on its predecessor right off the bat. It's not like this is WandaVision Season 2. We then cut to the Westview Library where Anya Jenkins from Buffy the Vampire Slayer is working, and she has some pointless banter with Agnes. Again, we already know what's at the end of the path she's walking on, so drawing it out like this just fills time and bored me to tears. The chief of police, who was Vision's dumb friend from WandaVision, introduces us to April Ludgate, who's playing a federal investigator honing in on Agnes's case. But if you saw even a second of promotional material for this series, you know that she's a witch. So again, it's another telegraphed twist that the audience sees coming. They have a very boring conversation, and then we get a boring sequence at a jewelry store. The whole thing is boring and stupid, and I feel bored and stupid for going along with it. She then goes home to her fake house as a fake detective until the fake FBI agent shows up to give a fake pizza and have a fake conversation with her. They talk about the case, which we all know is about Wanda, and it's just a complete and utter waste of time. All this could have been covered in 5 minutes with April showing up and waking Agatha up out of the hex. April asks if Agatha remembers why she hates her, alluding to a history between them that we'll see more of later. But before we can get anywhere interesting, there's someone in the house.
I don't care.
Yep, it's a gangly intruder who runs for his life. You know, some people said that the first confirmation that this character is gay comes from the call that he gets from his boyfriend in the second episode. For me, it was watching him run right here. After a boring chase sequence, Agnes makes the arrest. It's a gothy, skinny boy who, by the way, is definitely not Wanda's son, Billy Maximoff, aka Wiccan from the Young Avengers. I can't stress enough how much this is not Wiccan. Seriously, the fact that they felt they needed to hide this reveal as if it's going to be some kind of major shock to the audience later just reeks of Star Trek Into Darkness. Remember when J.J. Abrams pretended that Benedict Cumberbatch was anyone other than Khan Noonien Singh? It's the most obvious twist ever, and the show's need to hide it just comes off as idiotic and just exhausting. Anyway, the interrogation goes poorly, including the fact that it is a poorly acted scene.
Asleep in bed. Total loser?
Seriously, isn't Kathryn Hahn supposed to be some kind of good actress? What am I looking at here?
Or totally lying? Let's find out.
Totally Not Wiccan says that he's after the road and points out that the pictures that Agnes is showing him of the dead body are just pictures of a front lawn, and the two-way mirror in the room is a painting. In a show in which we don't know that this woman is Agatha Harkness under the spell of the Scarlet Witch, this might make for some compelling television. But we all know who she is and why she's here and what's actually going on, yet once again, the show is stretching this out. Totally Not Wiccan then starts to incant, and that seems to start waking Agnes up. She cuffs him and then heads to the city morgue to inspect the body. Now, we're supposed to feel tension here, but since we know that the body is Wanda, there is no tension whatsoever. She notes the woman's scarlet hair, and then we get gratuitous foot shot number 2. Then Wanda's name appears on the library card, to the surprise of absolutely no one. April Ludgate shows up out of the blue to assure Agatha that Wanda's dead as she guides her out of the spell. Agatha goes through all of her hex personas from WandaVision, including this moment of just the bestest acting this side of Nicolas Cage. What? Then we get gratuitous foot shot number 3, right before the big build-up to Agatha's name being revealed. Of course, this is a thing that we, the audience, already knew, so once more, the characters are just catching up to us. Agatha screams and storms out of the house, naked as the truth, to make her neighbor uncomfortable, while a teen girl stares at her bajingo, and her mother is not happy.
I mean, I can't even look at my own vajingo, you know? Is that because it looks so much like a vagina? There's people.
Then, of course, the heterosexual male in this scene needs to point out how powerful our heroine is.
You seem pretty lucid for a change. Aggressive even. Powerful.
But Agatha don't need no man to tell her how stunning and brave she is. She storms back into her house with her naked rear on full display because, I don't know, comedy? Empowerment? Fetish fulfillment of someone on the production staff? I have no idea. Back inside while wearing a robe, Agatha attempts to use her power by... Oh, what the hell? Ugh, the similarities are piling up. Agatha uncovers Totally Not Wiccan in the closet. That's a place I don't think he's been for quite some time. But then April Ludgate bursts in with magic and she and Agatha banter violently with one another, but in pure Disney Marvel fashion, every line feels like thinly veiled sexual innuendo. We learn they can't kill each other because it's, I don't know, not allowed or something. We also get this atrocious line.
You don't have a heart.
Yes, I do. It's black.
This is such horrific writing. I can't believe this is a show someone spent money to make. April lets Agatha know that the Salem 7 are coming for her, which is finally one of the first actual mysteries in this show. We can see that this scares Agatha, so now we, the audience, understand the threat and the ticking clock. Then April Ludgate licks Agatha's bleeding gash. In her hand, of course, you preverts. And then she leaves. Agatha then remembers there's a bound gay teenager in her house, and the episode ends. We then go right into episode 2, and it's just as awful, but in, like, different ways. We're not dealing with pointless mysteries anymore. Now it's just painfully unfunny attempts at horrifically written banter between two unlikable characters as they run around to collect incredibly dull, lifeless, utterly unremarkable supporting characters. Totally Not Wiccan wants to walk the witch's road, which is apparently something that's very dangerous and something that Agatha has done before. He also admits to being a huge Agatha Harkness fan, which would make him the only one in the entire world. Apparently he's 100% of the target audience for this show. Agatha tells him that the witch's road will kill him, which means I'm all for them going because my goodness, is this character annoying. Totally Not Wiccan then tries to tell Agatha his name, but she can't hear it, and that's okay. Because it's totally not Billy Maximoff, and he's totally not Wiccan. They leave together and Agatha gives some clumsy explanation on covens. They need a coven to walk the witch's road. As they leave, we see the foundation of Wanda's house and it's all spray painted. This serves only to remind us that characters who used to be cool were once here in this town. Now it's just these two D-bags. Totally Not Wiccan's boyfriend then calls, and in case you haven't picked up on the subtle everything about him, this is to let you know that he's gay. Looks like we're setting off on a road trip, but that's not entirely true. You see, the Covenstead rule of bullcrap states that no matter where you are, there'll be witchy people within a 3-mile radius. What the hell am I watching? Well, they stop at a fortune teller's shop and be still my theater kid heart because it's Patti LuPone. My joy at seeing Patti LuPone being here was quickly replaced by horror when I realized that Patti LuPone is here in this terrible show. Agatha then goes into some bad hacky comedy where she pretends to be a southern lady to test Patti LuPone's powers. Patti LuPone then takes a lit match to her legacy by participating in said cringy comedy where she moans and screams.
Shut up, Patti LuPone! Shut your brassy, magnificent trap!
It was on this day that I learned the golden rule of life. Never meet your heroes, and never watch them in Disney Plus original series. Patti LuPone then tells Agatha that Wanda took her agency, which is like page 1 of the woke vocabulary handbook. She also refuses to join their coven. After that, she screams weirdly to show that this character is kooky and spooky and altogether ooky. I want to take this moment to let the country of Argentina know that it's now okay to cry for her. We then get another clumsy bit of exposition where Agatha reveals to Patti LuPone that she can only steal the powers of other witches when they blast her. I'm sure that won't come up later. Patti LuPone then writes down a list of names for Agatha's coven, but to her shock, she wrote down her own name, so now she has to go with them. Yes, this show is that dumb. And now we meet Candle Witch, who is a lady, black, she makes candles, I don't know. She's also apparently bound, so she can't do magic. And that's everything that we learn about her as a character. Totally Not Wiccan also reveals that her candles have burned people, and she's in legal trouble. He does this after a bunch of hemming and hawing about his paws, but he basically steps up and owns the conversation, making me curious for the first time about his character. But not because of the story and his place in it, about the writing and direction of the character. So, are you the doe-eyed outsider being introduced to this world? Are you supposed to be our window into the witchy world? Or are you a super confident and competent participant who constantly steps up to own the room and cut impassioned speeches to other characters? Because right now, you're written to be both of those things at the same time, and that's not supposed to be possible. Agatha and Totally Not Wiccan then go to early 2000s Hot Topic, you know, back when it was still a goth store, and they meet middle-aged Asian witch. I call her that because as little as we learned about the other two coven members, we get even less from her. She ticks the diversity box and her mom died on the witch's road and she was a musician or something. But she's a blood witch because her mom was a witch. I'm sure we're not introducing that concept for any particular reason. Right, show? But we gotta move on because the Salem 7 are tracking them and they can't be allowed to know where Agatha is. So the only thing they know is that she lives in a house in Westview. That means the best place to hide from them and enact this plan is, the one place in the entire world they know to look. Totally Not Wiccan tries to talk more about where he's from, but Agatha can't hear him. But he's totally not Wiccan, guys. Back at the house, Agatha sees a coyote. Candle Witch, Patti LuPone, and middle-aged Asian Witch arrive, but they still need a green witch. Apparently, the last person on Patti LuPone's list was marked with a black heart.
You don't have a heart. Yes, I do. It's black.
They should just flash "This is important" on the screen whenever these hacky lines happen. But instead of getting April, Agatha instead goes out and gets the mom from that 70s show so that we can get some more hilarious comedy that won't get old fast. Now, the other witches were very clear about how important the Green Witch is to going down the witch's road, but none of them questioned the arrival of this obviously powerless woman who has no idea what's going on, probably because they find her hilarious. So apparently, they now have to...
Seekest thou the road to all that's foul and fair?
Oh, what the hell?
Darkest hour, wake thy power, earthly and divine.
Yup, they're singing a song to open the witch's road, unironically harmonizing with one another in a musical number to bring their big ritual to life. Why does that sound so familiar?
Power one, the power of two, the power of many.
I would honestly love to meet the person at Disney who said, "Don't worry, guys, the Acolyte failed, but I figured out the singing lesbian witch formula this time."
Sisters, sing. Down, down, down the road, down the witch's road. Unlock thy hidden gate.
Ugh, alright, that was awkward, but at least it's...
Marching ever forward, neath the wooded shrine.
Oh, what the hell?
Down, down, down the witches, down the witches, down the witches' blood. I have put a spell on you, and now you're gone.
Seriously, how is this thing still going?
Blood and tears and bone, maiden mother crone.
Thank you. Finally. Jeez, that was a journey and a half to...
The road is wild and wicked.
Ah, son of a biscuit!
Through many miles of tricks and trials, we'll wander high and low.
Tony Stark died for this?
Down, 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 down the witches, down the witches.
This is the first time in my entire life I've ever wanted Patti LuPone to stop singing.
Down the witches, down the witches, down the witches, down the witches. Come on and ease on down the road. Come on, ease on down the road. Follow me, my friend, to glory at the end.
Is it actually over now? After 3 entire verses with a chorus, is it actually over?
Huh.
That was an auto-tuned, out-of-place mess. They actually auto-tuned Patti LuPone. The auto-tune program should have achieved sentience and refused to do it. Well, after a few moments of bickering and more Catherine Hahn overacting...
Go to hell. Make me!
Seriously, has she lost it, or is just the directing and writing this bad? She tries to get them to blast her because, as she explained to Patti LuPone, she can only take their powers if they blast her. So they don't blast her because Patti LuPone learned that if she blasts her, then she could take her powers. It all comes full circle, folks. Anyway, the door to the Witch's Road opens and the lesbian Earth Witches, along with Totally Not Wiccan, descend down into it before the Salem 7 can attack. They then remove their shoes, because of course they do, and start to...
Come on and ease on down the road. Come on, ease on down the road.
And that's the end of this 2-episode premiere of mediocrity. I can't say it's worse than The Acolyte, because at the end of the day, I don't think this show is going to have the impact on the overall Marvel Universe that The Acolyte had on Star Wars. The Acolyte reworked what the Force is and how it's used. It cheapened the legend of Anakin Skywalker as the Chosen One and gave the first canonical appearance of a fan-favorite Sith Lord as a shady cave hider. I think this story is going to stay in its own little lane and not have a huge impact on the Marvel Universe as a whole. So to that end, I can say that while it's a sloppily written, agenda-driven, horribly acted, and atrociously directed, ham-fisted mess, it's not as offensive to me as The Acolyte was. I was on That Park Place Live the other day with Film Threat's Alan Ng, who's watched the first 4 episodes, and I asked him if it gets more painful. He said that it does. Alan said that the next 2 episodes are essentially escape rooms with more clumsy dialogue and terrible acting. So I guess we're all in this for the long haul, monsters. So let's walk down the Witch's Road together and laugh at everything we see. Thanks for joining me today for this review, and a huge thanks to our Tooneytown channel members. You guys are getting access to exclusive video content and live streams, along with early access to videos like this one. So become a Tooneytown member today. And I hope you'll all join us Thursday nights at 8 p.m. EST for Tooney Talk TV. It's our public live stream pop culture podcast where you can participate live and make your voice heard as a part of the Tooneytown community. If you liked what you saw here today, please like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell icon to get notified of new videos as they drop. From all of us here at the Tooneytown channels, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get out of here!